Greetings, everyone. A couple things. This is me mentally crumpling up my notes of what my prepared remarks, which weren't very good anyway. But after conversations I had last night and what I'm hearing today, I want to kind of switch it up a little bit. But before that, I like this kind of, if you hear me once, clap your hands. If you hear me twice, clap your hands. Because it always makes me remind two things early in my career. I used to work with a very experienced educator who used to go like this: look at my nose, look at my nose, look at my nose. And no one knew what she was doing, but everyone looked at her nose, and then she would just start whatever, which was amazing. But then also it was my first day and my first real job at the Florida Aquarium in Tampa, Florida. I had to dress up as a fish. My second day, I had to greet school children coming in, and my job was just to orient everyone to where they were going and remind them to behave, et cetera, et cetera. They gave me a bullhorn, and then I watched 9 school buses pull up, and I think it was like, no exaggeration, like 1,200 children. And they all kind of get off the bus, and they all kind of stand there, and they're excited, and I'm just there with my bullhorn like, And this teacher comes up to me and says, you need me to get them quiet? And I was like, please. And she just goes, R-E-S-P-E-C-T. And all the kids just stop and go, find out what it means to me. And they all sat down. And I've never been able to replicate that, but we might try that tonight at Caveat. All right, so my name is Jonathan Frederick. I work at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. The Morehead Planetarium and Science Center is a science center on campus. We pride ourselves on being the gateway to the sciences. We do a ton with, like a lot of you, and I'm in all of the work you do, with not a lot. But I don't want to spend too much time about us. I want to talk about a few projects that we work that we've created that may resonate with what you're doing. We really believe that representation matters, and it sounds like that a lot of you do as well, which is great. So through our work with the North Carolina Science Festival and what we do with our broader impacts work, we've launched a statewide program called Impacts, which is mainly, we called it Impacts kind of passive-aggressively because everyone was asking about our impacts. I mean, we're just going to call the damn thing Impacts. And we'll see what we do. We have an external evaluator, but we work with historically black colleges and universities from around the state. We work with minority-serving institutions. We work with companies, which is a little bit of a weak point in our program, where we're trying to get more STEM professionals who aren't on college campuses involved. And we basically provide a short course where they are trained in getting better at science communication. But what I like about what we do is then they're committed to being a part of at least 2 events. And we pick events that are most likely the kinds of events that they're going to be doing in their careers when they get asked to do outreach. So we have them go to a middle school and share their love of what they do. And I totally echo Ben's sort of hand-wringing about what if we just send a scientist in there and they lay an egg, and the kids are in the audience like, see, I knew I didn't like science. So we want them to be good at it, but we still think it's worth doing. Another event is a community-style event, maybe an expo or some sort of family gathering. And what I like about that is it's I don't know if it's a safe space, but it's fun, right? And I think the scientists find it really, really valuable. And odds are they're going to do some of that work in the future. But what we found is that going to non-science events is even more fun than doing kind of science expos. So we've been partnering with music festivals, barbecue festivals, a potato festival, which I didn't even know what that was. Northeastern North Carolina has a festival that is massive with Ferris wheels and rides they set up overnight. I still don't know why people get on those things that were built overnight, but it's packed. And the potatoes are just because they sell French fries and they're really, really popular. So they have a potato peeling competition, and I ate like 42 pounds of French fries, and it was great. But our scientists had a great time there. But it's kind of interesting, and maybe the Guerrilla Science UK folks can echo this. Context matters, co-creating matters, and sort of building community, because we show up a little bit out of context, and it's kind of jarring to the people who just came to a potato festival to ride rides and have a great time, and then there's something that seemed to sort of like schoolwork maybe, or like they flash on science class. So we're thinking through all of these ways to approach these events. And one program that I would really like to share is about what we're doing with a county in northeastern North Carolina. So my pre-work, I wrote at like 10 o'clock at night, and I was a little, maybe a gin and tonic in, I'm not sure, but I was trying to sound definitive about soft skills that I can never feel definitive about. So I was trying to think of really how do you get better doing science outreach? You just do it. Period, send. And I don't really feel that way, but I'm scrapping a lot of that because I think this project is really important. And one of my take-homes about what I was doing with that pre-work was that we make a lot of these rules, we can break them and bend them, And I think that's really, really important to remember, particularly when we're partnering with people in meaningful ways. And so one of my rules that I'm breaking right now is I wish there were another picture up there which would have my boss and mentor who's in the audience, and it would be strange for me to talk about this program because it's really her brainchild. So ladies and gentlemen, Crystal Harden.
So unexpected, I know, right? How much time do I have? Where's my fingers?
5.5 minutes.
Oh, yes, I got this. Okay, so, Jonathan put a little bit of context behind everything that we're doing at Morehead. Representation is very important to us. So the Impacts program and our new project called the Saunders Science Scholars Program came about because Morehead is really committed to representation. And we started a few years ago focusing on diversity and inclusion in our entire organization. How does that look? We started not only with professional development trainings for our staff, but we also implemented diversity statements and diversity strategic planning with our staff. We have trainings on implicit bias. We do actually culturally competent assessments of our staff. We have hiring questions about diversity successes in every interview from our undergraduate students to our director level positions. So much so that our representation of our staff has increased, gone from 8% in around 2008 or 9 to now over 33, 35% in 2018. So we take it very importantly, and we're starting with our staff to create a culturally competent workforce and environment, also where our staff feels safe talking about diversity and inclusion. What does it look like? We're always in the room asking the hard questions. So this spreads over into our marketing efforts, our program design efforts, and thus many of the great programs that we're doing, like Impacts. Our new, I call them my babies. This is I'm 5 years from retirement, so this last project is my baby because I'm going to go off into retirement after I see it to completion. It is a 6-year project we're doing with a rural county in North Carolina. Earlier, when people were talking about bringing together your funders and what do your funders want, and then your community partners, this is a full collaboration of a funder who came to us and said, I love what you're doing here in the Triangle, but I want to give you funding to replicate this in a rural area, and I have certain requirements. I want it in a rural county. I want it to focus on females, particularly females of color. Now, it's private funding. We're a state organization, but with private funding, I can do that. I do not break federal laws. Then we had to find a partner. So we had great partnerships with certain counties. We went to a county, and before we even started planning, I knew we had to have the right partner at the table for what I needed to undertake. Went to a district, very small district, only has 5 schools in the entire county, 3 elementary schools, 1 middle school, 1 high school. And we went to the district. The assistant superintendent and superintendent were immediately on board with this idea of creating a family science enrichment club, mentoring 10 families for 6 years with monthly science club meetings. A child and an adult must attend monthly science club meetings. During the summer, we provide a 1-week summer camp. Also, in addition to that, all of our other outreach opportunities we offer at Morehead, like the Impacts program, scientists coming out, our mobile vehicles, our Science on Stage programs, we would also pour those into the county. So we developed a partnership where we don't like the word adopting, but it's a full collaboration of all of our force into one county. The district came to the table, and we thought we knew what they needed. They came to the table and said, that's great, but I really need you to do this. Like, we thought, okay, we'll give these families iPads as, their 1-year, end-of-year celebration, whatever you want to call it. The district said, that's not going to work out here because many of our families don't have internet access. It's poor out here, and they can't afford it. They'd rather have their phone on than internet. So that was out. So we're now going with a different idea. We're going to give them drones. It's out in the country. All they can do is fly drones. There's space everywhere. We can do sky watching. There's no light pollution. There's nothing out there. So those kinds of things we sat down with the partner and designed. So now we have this collaboration with the partner. They're fully on board. Then we went to the school board. They're fully on board because the district is behind it. The school board is behind it. Now we have the county manager and we have the mayor on board because the district got behind it. We just finished our selection process. We thought we had 10 families. We couldn't decide. We ended up with 12 families. And In the interviews, the families were talking about the lack of resources. This is a county where it borders Virginia. It's kind of one of those forgotten counties. And the lack of resources to science is unbelievable. One of the kickoff events we did was we took science to a Friday night football game. We just did a science tailgate where we popped up with our mobile vehicles. People like, we have a university that has a drone aviation trailer truck. They pulled up at the tailgate. We had 4-H pull up at the tailgate. And as people were going into the football game, we're like, hey, let's do some science. And they were like, hey, great. So much so that everyone's asking, well, are you coming to the next football game? That's not in the plan, but we'll figure that out. But this is a full collaboration. We're going to follow these children for 6 years. Our goal, the impact of this program is to see them graduate and go on to college and receive scholarships and all of that. But we're going to track them through high school to hopefully see them enroll in higher education science courses. And how are we doing that? We talked about metrics. So we're doing research and evaluation, two very separate things. We're evaluating each event that we're doing, but then we are researching what's the impact of this program? How is it impacting the science identity of these groups that we're studying? We're studying rural, we're studying females, and we're studying African American females. And so we have metrics set up between quantitative data, such as their scores, to qualitative data with studies of their interests and attitudes through various validated metrics that we're using to study impact over the next 6 years. This is a model that other districts are already trying to figure out. How can we do this in our district? If this works, it will be a model for North Carolina. It's going to work. It's got to work. But that's what it is. Okay, and I think I'm done.